Model 3 conquered and reigned the EV market for years, and recently we've seen a few Chinese brands trying to come along to take their spot. However, none of them have been quite successful. But have things changed? This is the BYD Seal, and in today's review, we'll find out if the king is gone. Now, before I give you a tour of everything the BYD Seal has to offer, I do have a favor to ask you. If you look below, you'll see that we are almost at 100,000 subscribers, and I really can't put into words what achieving that milestone would mean to us. So if you enjoy the kind of content we are producing here at OSV, then do please consider subscribing to our channel. Whilst the BYD Seal story is not as long and storied as more established car manufacturers, its rise is nothing short of meteoric. Whilst the company was founded back in 1995, BYD didn't enter the automotive market until 2003, mainly focusing on affordable petrol engine cars. But shortly after, they've noticed the potential of the EV market. This forward thinking led BYD to be pioneers in battery technology, and their blade batteries are not only safer, but also last longer, have a bigger lifespan, and also charge quicker when compared to traditional lithium-ion batteries. And this focus on battery tech has been the cornerstone of their success. However, we cannot deny that it is entering a very crowded market. Established brands such as Tesla and household names such as BMW and Hyundai are all vying for a piece of that pie, but it really doesn't shy away. Its combination of stylish design, impressive range, and feature-packed interior make it a serious contender. So today we'll take a look and find out if it has what it takes to disrupt the market. Let's start our tour by having a look at this front end. And we'll start with this bold and closed off front grille, which is a common element with many modern EVs, but that is accentuated by these sleek LED headlights that stretch along the leading edge of the bonnet and are complemented by this distinctive daytime running lights that have a sharp C-shaped design, further adding to what is already quite an imposing look. Moving over to the side, the BYD Seal boasts a flowing silhouette. Its smooth lines and hidden door handles create a sense of futuristic elegance. And whilst its size is quite impressive, I think it's quite well proportionate, hinting at spaciousness for both the passengers and also cargo. In terms of alloys, they do vary from 18 to 20 inches in size, and I do really like this design, which nicely complements its overall sporty character. Wing mirrors are heated, automatically folding, and come integrated with blind spot monitoring as standard. And when it comes to colors, whether you opt for this classic midnight black or the more head-turning sapphire blue, you'll be sure to find a color that matches your style. And as we reach the rear, the smooth lines culminate in a stylish, fastback design. The taillights echo the C-shaped design of the daytime running lights and extend throughout the entire width of the car, emphasizing its broad looks and adding a touch of drama. Now, the first thing you'll notice about this boot is that it actually has quite a wide opening, making it easy to load and unload those bulkier objects. However, due to this shape, you won't be able to fit any taller objects, which might be a compromise. But once opened, you are rewarded to 400 litres of boot capacity, which is more than enough for your weekly needs. You do have some niceties, such as a pocket on the left-hand side. There's also some underfloor storage, but I would reserve that for your charging cables. And you can fold down those rear seats to extend that boot volume. However, to do so, you actually need to come around the side. There's these buttons on the side here that you can pull down for those seats. As you can see, there is a slight incline with the rear seats. However, they do include this tab so that you don't lose any smaller objects inside there. And to be fair, if you were to push a longer object through, it would most definitely go up without any issues. Plus, like most of its rivals, you also have a front space, which rewards you with around 53 litres of volume, which adds to that practicality and versatility. So in all, whilst the boot practicality, it's not the greatest, it definitely has some potential. But does that potential extend to its drivability? Well, let's join Paul behind the wheel to see what he makes of it. first saw it, I think that's probably the first question. What were your expectations on it?
I expected it to be as it looks, kind of powerful, sleek. It's got the look, so the drive, I knew it was going to be nice.
Well, so obviously starting with specs.
Yep.
This car has a blade battery, and for those of you who don't know what blade battery is, I actually went into detail about it during our BYD Atto 3 review, and you can watch that review if you click on the banner above. But here we've got the same system and the same type of battery, but it's an 82.5 kilowatt hour battery, and that gives you a range of around 354 miles, which is quite good. But what have you got on your screen in terms of range?
We're at 99% and I've got 353 miles.
That's pretty accurate.
I mean,
when it comes to power, we have an electric motor mounted to the rear wheels in this case, where you can also have an all-wheel drive version, and that's a little bit more powerful. Here we've got 308 horsepower, which then gives you a 0 to 62 times, as you were saying, about 5 seconds, isn't it?
about 5 seconds, yeah.
5 seconds. Upgrading to that all-wheel drive version increases the horsepower to 536, but that decreases the 0 to 62 times to a whopping 3.8 seconds. So it's rapid.
It is very rapid.
And even this version, as you were telling me earlier, surprised you a little bit on the acceleration landscape, didn't it?
Well, I will say, and other electric cars we've driven, for example, the BMW i5, as another example I can give, when you put your foot down in that car, you get punched back into your seat. In this, it doesn't have that initial punch, but it does pick up quick afterwards. So that initial go is kind of, okay, we're going to leave now, and then you go quite rapidly afterwards, which I think is quite nice in a way.
Yeah.
You don't feel like you're, if you put your foot down accidentally in a weird way, you don't feel like suddenly you're out of control and about to career off the road in something else. It gives you a couple of seconds leeway before unleashing hell.
You've had a chance to actually take it home, use it as your daily driver for a little bit.
Yep.
What were the main things that stood out to you initially? Like as soon as you hopped in the car, what was the immediate thing that stood out to you?
The first thing that stood out to me when I got in the car was that screen. 15.6 inches, I think. Ooh. And it rotates. So you can have it portrait or landscape, which is quite an impressive bit of kit. You can't help but not notice that when you get in the vehicle. Second thing I noticed is the quality. The quality of this vehicle is unreal. The steering wheel is absolutely amazing to feel. Really good quality. The drive itself is as smooth as silk, and we're an electric vehicle at the moment. We're doing nigh on 60 miles an hour and it's silent.
It is completely silent.
Just on the first drive home, the comfort level of this vehicle is unreal.
Do you know, I actually wasn't, now that you've mentioned that, it's actually silent. Like I can't,
Absolutely.
There's no road noise, there's no wind noise.
We've got the heating on at the minute, or the cooling, if you will, at the minute. Let's just turn that right down so the fan's off. But I mean, we're doing 60 miles an hour and
this is lovely.
There's no noise outside whatsoever. It's just so well insulated and so well built that, yeah, I just thought that was amazing to start with. And then control-wise, I mean, just generally when first driving it, you know you've got everything you need where you need it. Everything's on your steering wheel, controls are nicely laid out, there's nothing in a stupid place, and it's also fully voice controlled as well.
Nice. Now, how are you finding that steering to be?
It's light, but perfectly responsive. So it's not like some of the electric cars we get where the steering is so light you feel like you're driving an arcade game. You can feel the responsiveness of the steering itself. Incredibly comfy, and yeah, it's perfect.
How about your visibility?
I would say first and foremost, windscreen has got plenty of visibility for me, but it does have a huge, obviously, rear view mirror up here and a big box section here, if you will, for obviously the auto lights, the auto wipers and the likes of, it's above there. It does restrict my visibility quite a bit over to the left there. I mean, I'm just over 6 foot, so, and my seat's at the lowest it'll possibly go. So if I really need to see in that direction, I do have to duck my head down slightly. Not ideal. And through the rear, because it's a saloon, the rear window isn't the biggest in the world. And he's kind of looking through almost like a pillbox, if you will, a post box. It's a tiny little slot that I can see behind me. But then to make up for it, my rear view mirrors are absolutely ginormous. And not over the top, silly big ears ginormous. They're decent sized pieces of glass.
And well, since we're on visibility, let's talk about parking and the camera system. How did you find that?
I think the camera system on this is absolutely brilliant as well. I can turn it on whilst I'm driving, not that you really should be able to. It's a feature I don't quite get, but at any speed you can flick the camera on and literally be able to see what's going on around you at all times. And literally you can spin.
Oh, that is amazing.
Which is quite amazing to see. I appreciate it on the camera.
I'm actually gonna film it with my phone. So there you guys. Yeah. So this is what you guys over there, of course.
You can see.
You got Paul here.
Hello.
And then this is the view that we get.
You can literally be looking at the car at any speed as to where you are and what you're doing. Like I say, I don't really understand why you need that at 54 miles an hour, but it's a pretty cool little feature.
It's like a video game, isn't it?
Yeah, literally you can spin that around and have a good old look at what's going on around you. But you can see how that would work when you come to park, because you can literally have a good old look around the car, see what's going on, and work from there. And you can also flick through your cameras as well and see all the different angles and the different views of the car. So that's quite a cool little feature, I thought. Maybe a bit quirky for this sort of point in time, but yeah, cameras are very, very, very good when it comes to parking.
And in terms of comfort, tell me about comfort.
I mean, you're quite happily sat in that passenger seat. We have the same seating. It's leather seating, full electric. I've got lumbar support, and the seats are heated as well, which in the winter, that's perfect.
Nice.
Yeah, I like the seats.
Big thing, charging. Obviously, it's quite a big battery, so it does support rapid charging. So you could do a 20 to 80%, it's around 40 minutes. At home with just your standard 7 kilowatt plug, your 7 kilowatt plug, it will be around 11 hours. So it is quite a long time to charge it, but then again, we need to remember that you won't be charging it every day, or at least you won't be charging from 0 to 100% every day. What did you think about the practicality, boot space?
Now, boot space is probably the only bit that's going to let it down if you're still comparing it to your Tesla, because this is a saloon, whereas I think the Tesla is obviously a hatchback, so you've got a bit more room in the Tesla boot than you have with this one. I was a little bit disappointed when I opened the boot to see how much. I think it's 400 litres.
Yeah.
It's still quite a big boot, but
It's
the shape of the boot isn't amazing. But the seats obviously fold down, so plenty of room in there if you really had to put some stuff in. But otherwise, that's my only downside.
I mean, and you've got the front as well.
You have, yes.
So so that's additional, isn't it?
Yep.
One thing we didn't talk about, because we talked about this massive screen.
Yep.
How about your cockpit display?
Yeah, I mean, everything I need to know is on there. I've got my speed, I've got charge, I can see how many miles I've got left, how many kilowatts I'm using.
Quick fire. 3 favorite things, 3 least favorite things about the car.
You like throwing these things at me, don't you? We practice things before we get in the car, and then you throw me in.
Oh, you know, this is totally scripted. We always practice these drive experiences. Yeah, absolutely.
3 favourite things. Number 1's the screen. Number 2, this is very childish. I love the fact the door handles pop out. Genuinely, the 8-year-old boy in me went, that's amazing, I love that. But you literally, the door handles, when you come up to the car and unlock it, they're flat flush to the car, and they literally, they pop out. I think my 3rd favourite is I'm not going to say it out loud, but I'm going to say it backwards, the BYD Hey. If I say it the other way around, she'll activate and start talking to us. But you can control, you can open and close the windows, you can turn the heating up and down, you can adjust the interior lighting and make it whatever colour you want. You can ask her and say you're hungry, and she will then bring up a list of local restaurants. Just little quirks like that, I thought were, with that particular feature using voice control, yeah, I like the way they've done it. It's brilliant. The boot is probably my only downside, and it's not really that much of a downside to most people. Otherwise, I've absolutely loved it. It's brilliant.
Nice, and exactly, like, I think if you are in a market for this shape of car, you know that's going to be a less practical side of this shape.
Yep.
So you know what you're coming into. So
yeah,
well, I think 400 litres, it's okay. I mean, for us, obviously, both being parents and stuff, it doesn't really work, or maybe it works now as we don't have small children anymore.
Yeah.
But as a young family, probably wouldn't be for you. But like you said, I mean, it's plenty if you don't have to put in a bug in it. So I think that leads us to the last question of the driving section for you, Paul, which is always the most controversial one, because this is where you upset manufacturers here.
I know.
Because they're all listening to you and what you've got to say.
No, they're not.
I want to see where this sits on Paul's rank.
I'm going to put this at number 1 because I'm
No way.
genuinely have a lot. The Polestar I love to bits. Polestar 2 was absolute joy to drive in every aspect. And the Polestar 2 looks nice, and I think I really overestimated the fact that the Polestar 2 was a very subtle car.
Yeah.
It didn't stick out, it didn't shout and scream at everybody. This is a little bit on the opposite side of it. I mean, it's black for starters, it's the black wheels, the gloss black all the way through. It looks quite almost aggressive. Just, yeah, I think the whole package on this one does pop it above the Polestar, and at the moment this is definitely top on my list. I love this car.
Well, thank you so much for taking me for a spin, as always. Right, well, we're going to go back to the office now. I'm going to give you a brief look at what's inside here. The BYD Seal's interior is surprisingly spacious, and the secret weapon is that blade battery, which allows the floor of the car to be lower to the ground, giving yourself as a driver and your front passenger a lot of legroom. One thing to bear in mind though is that sloping roofline, which might impact the amount of headroom you've got available for you. But as you can see, at 6 foot, I have no issues. And that's mainly to do with the fact that these seats are extremely adjustable. You got plenty of adjustability, so you can tilt, you can move yourself forward, move yourself up and down, and even lumbar support as standard. Taking a look around this cabin, you quickly realize that BYD completely avoided using budget materials. Here you have a tasteful blend of soft touch materials, leather, and also even touches suede dotted around the space. The steering wheel itself, it's nice and grippy and has all the controls you need for a relaxing driving experience. Right in front of you is the centerpiece of this interior, a large rotatable infotainment display. The graphics are sharp, the user interface, it's easy to navigate, and this is where you control everything in the BYD Seal, from climate controls to navigation and also entertainment. You also get access to Android Auto and Apple CarPlay as standard, which is completely common nowadays, so nothing to talk about there. Plus, next to it, you get this fully digital instrument cluster, which gives you all the information about your driving at just a glance. It's also clear and quite customizable, so you can configure it to display the information you need when you need it. But functionality isn't everything that the BYD Seal offers, and there's plenty of cubby holes for your convenience. So you've got a couple of cup holders, and the driver one has this interesting functionality where if you have one of those longer bottles, you can push it down and then there's this button that will lift it up. The door bins are also spacious enough for a smaller bottle, and you've got a coin tray at the top. The glove box is also quite huge, offering you plenty of space for your bits and bobs that you might have lying around. There's no sunglasses cubby or anything like that, but you do have an NFC touchpad, which I'm assuming will just connect your phone instantly to the infotainment display. And if you open that armrest, you are greeted with quite a capacious center compartment. But convenience and functionality aren't everything. One of the most important things for your drive is your comfort. And I must say that these seats are extremely comfortable, and they are these sport seats that keep you in place nicely. And the best part is that they come as standard, regardless of which trim level you opt for. And thankfully, and perhaps for the first time, the rear cabin doesn't compromise on anything. I mean, material variety and quality is absolutely here. You still have your suede, your soft touch materials. Niceties are also present. You've got these double slotted seat pockets where you can fit a tablet, a magazine, and other bits and bobs. There's a compartment over here that you could fit a phone in or some chewing gum, etc. There's a USB-C and a USB-A port to keep your passengers' devices charged. The door bins are nice and wide, and you also get a coin tray. Plus, you get a really comfortable armrest, which rewards you with another couple of cup holders, which fit these cups nice and snug, so this won't be moving about too much whilst you're on the go. In terms of practicality for families, you have these ISOFIX anchor points, and when it comes to legroom, I've got plenty of legroom. My feet are nice and cozy down there because it's a nice soft textured material down there, and headroom even at 6 foot. I mean, I've got plenty. Yes, it is a sloping roofline. Yes, we have a panoramic sunroof, which is the highlight of this interior, but I don't have any issues with headroom. And when it comes to comfort, again, thanks to that blade battery, we've got a flat floor, which means that for the first time, again, I think you could easily transport 4 adult passengers for long journeys. So as you can see, BYD didn't skip on anything when it comes to its cabin. But how much will all these bells and whistles set you back? It's time for pricing and trim levels. Luckily, when it comes to the Seal's pricing, BYD has kept it quite simple. So there's only 2 trim levels. Design, which starts just over £43,000, but gives you everything that you've seen throughout this review. You've got that huge infotainment display, huge range, great comfort and material variety used throughout this cabin. Plus, perhaps my favorite thing, it's this panoramic sunroof as standard. From there, you can opt for the Excellence trim for just over £48,000, but that gives you all-wheel drive and a slightly more powerful powertrain, which then produces 530 horsepower at the cost of range. And so overall, I think BYD has definitely positioned this car to compete with some of those more premium brands whilst keeping it at a tantalizing price. And with all that said, should you buy, lease or finance this lovely BYD Seal? Well, I think if you're looking for a modern and stylish design, a spacious interior, complete with a variety of materials, plus a competitive range, then this could be the car for you. Of course, it doesn't come without some downsides. That boot space, unfortunately, is not as versatile as some of the other competitors out there. The sloping roofline might be something that you need to consider, and that starting price, especially considering that this is still quite a new brand here in our UK market, might be slightly steep for you. But if you are in the market for a saloon of this size, you'll find it extremely hard to find a competitor with this amount of style, practicality and features. And if you're looking at finding out a little bit more about what this car has to offer, then do give us a call on 01903 538 835 and our vehicle specialist will be more than happy to go over every single aspect of this beautiful saloon so that you can make an informed purchasing decision. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, we are almost at 100,000 subscribers, and achieving that milestone would be absolutely incredible. So if you like the content we produce here at OSV, then do consider subscribing to our channel. And if you found this review to be useful or informative in any way, then do give it a thumbs up. But that's it. That's all from me today. You take care and safe driving.